Yeah, just moving back onto the Marion stuff. I was going to ask, actually, the question I was going to ask was, would you like to apologise to Barry Cowan for the leeway you've shown to Taoiseach and the Foreign Affairs Minister, and you weren't readily going to show him, but since you're showing up to press conferences with speeches from a year ago, I'm guessing that's not the case. But would you, if you look at the other cases, the other people who've had to fall under sword over recent months, let's say Phil Hogan, which it wasn't even his attendance, but it was the story kept changing over those days and week, and that's the reason why you lost confidence in him. And similarly, Derek Cleary, he got pretty swift justice from you and had to go within the click of a finger. When you've given the Taoiseach here and the Foreign Affairs Minister weeks, months to deal with this issue, and the Taoiseach, or the Foreign Affairs Minister, has now presented another version of events to the Foreign Affairs Committee. I'm not sure which version this is. We could be on 3, 4, 5. You'll find that there is holes in that version, and that'll be interrogated by the committee. A member of your own government and the Fine Gael party, Charlie Flanagan, was the one who raised the fact that there was inconsistencies. Yet here we are, still distracted by this still thing. The Taoiseach of the country showing up to the launch of his biggest housing policy with a speech he made in, was it July last year? So do you not think that you should possibly take the time to look back on how you treated those people, how you treated Phil Hogan, Derek Cleary, and who was it, Barry Cowan, and the leeway that you're now showing to your Fine Gael colleagues in government for a thing that is drawn out and is changing, and we still don't know the real story about it. And this one was for the Taoiseach himself, is that we've been told that Catherine's opponent didn't lobby for this position. We were told this. There was a statement issued to the Foreign Affairs Committee saying this, and then a day later, the Taoiseach issues text message in which she asks him, what's the story with this job? How is that not lobbying? And how are you not seeing this and the rest of the government? And if the other ministers want a question, how would you rate the Taoiseach and the Taoiseach's performance throughout this controversy? Yeah,
you see, Philip, I disagree fully with the perspective you've adopted on this. You've made a statement there. You haven't asked questions. No, sorry, I'm not going to interrupt. I didn't interrupt you. You said I showed up here with a speech. I didn't show up here. I came here well-resourced with material because a wrong context was put on what I did last year. I was asked a question about a speech I gave. I was asked a question about it. And I clarified, because I had to clarify, because of the type of things you were saying, and others, in terms of what you just said to me there. I'm quite entitled to go back to clarify the situation for people in terms of what happened, in terms of that decision I had to, which I didn't like taking. And the bottom line was I'd asked the minister in my cabinet to go before the Dáil to clarify issues of significant importance that had been raised in the public domain. And the minister decided he wasn't going to do that. He wanted to go another route. And I felt that wasn't tenable. It's not directly comparable to this. It's not. And why I made the points I made here is to simply give the truth in terms of the rationale behind the decision I took. I would disagree fully, not most of it, the way you're adopting this. I mean, it seems to be that you want to create this tension or this division between maybe the Fianna Fáil party and the Fine Gael party and create the tensions and let the story run. That's my perception. And my view is it's an issue that does need to be accounted for. The minister is going before the Oireachtas Committee. I would make the point, and I genuinely believe this, we are talking about a part-time position of an envoy for freedom of information, for freedom of expression and LGBT. That's what we're actually talking about here now. I don't think it's at the scale that you think it's at, if you want my honest opinion. I do not think it's at the level that you are putting it at. I genuinely don't. And I just think, there's a tendency in modern political discourse to elevate issues of this kind to a level that they should not be elevated to.
And you don't feel there's no comparisons to Derek Cleary's
So Dara Cleary took a decision at the time, and I had consultations with Dara, and Dara, and his comments are publicly on the record. He paid a very high price. Very sad, because he's a very fine public representative, and so is Barry Cowan. And he did pay a high price in terms of the attendance at that event, which again followed government decisions and regulations that government had taken in respect of COVID-19. So I don't accept the presentation of the situation as you've put forward.
I can just say just in addition to that, I think what you're trying to do is say that an apple is an orange. The outdoor gathering in the Merrion did not break any government regulations, did not breach any law. When it comes to that other gathering, there's a prosecution pending. It's a very different set of circumstances. I regret going anywhere near the place, even if it was only for 40 minutes, absolutely, because of the controversy it's caused. But to compare an event that was not in breach of any government laws or regulations with one where there's a prosecution pending really is saying that an apple is an orange. Notwithstanding that, I regret having anything to do with it. But that's a fact, and it's a fact that I think is only fair to report. In relation to lobbying, you can see the text for yourself. Minister Zappone asked me if I knew anything about it. I said I didn't. If you look at the definition of the Lobbying Act, seeking information is not lobbying. Lobbying is when you ask somebody to do something for you, or to change a law, or get something. She didn't do that. Yeah, but look at the definition of lobbying in the Lobbying Act, and seeking of information is not lobbying. It's there in black and white in the Lobbying Act. You're trying to say an orange is an apple.
But what was she trying to do by asking you about the job? You don't think she was seeking to get you to fast track it or get it signed off? You don't think she wasn't trying to ask you to use your influence as the second most famous politician in this country to get her that job?
And she didn't at any point. Those are the facts.
Thanks.
Were you aware that Son Bobby's phone was hacked?
At the time, I don't believe I was. I'm not going to say definitively, but I've asked him about that, and it was a phishing event which was reported to the Gardaí and to the head of security within government. That's my understanding of that. And
it was reported by some of you at the time.
Yeah, apparently.
If you Google it.
It was in the public domain.
Right. Thank you.
So, thank you very much.